For us, it's usually not so easy to recognize when the shadow self is taking over, because we very often think that whatever we're feeling, whatever's causing the turmoil, it's an outside force. Yet, actually, that's when we already can differentiate somehow. We can recognize a bit whether it is really the outside force or whether we are now driven by our inner wounds, our unhealed aspects. Usually, the shadow, I can describe it like you are enmeshed in a fishing net. It's like you are completely encased within some kind of costume that's all over your whole body. And it is impacting your senses, it is impacting even your movement. You feel differently due to it, you sense differently due to it. And this is how the shadow self somehow is also making itself known, that it is filtering the reality. And of course, if it's so familiar to us, if we are carrying around this shadow self of ours since maybe even decades, that's all we know. And we so often then feel, okay, well, the world is just that way, when in fact it's just really filtered through our own history. So, what does it mean when it's showing itself even on a visceral level? Sometimes we sense some heaviness inside our body. Sometimes we sense some difficulty in breathing, or we notice that our heart is racing. Those are the visceral memories coming to the surface. And sometimes we perceive a density, or we perceive coldness or heat, whatever. But that is something that is a perception inside, which is containing an unhealed wound, which is containing something unresolved. The usual healthy state is an effortless flow in alignment and in harmony. So, for example, if you feel like there's a pinch in your stomach in a certain moment, that's your body reminding you of something that is coming up, because the moment you are experiencing in the now has some kind of similarities which your nervous system is recognizing, or your perception, your field is recognizing. And this is the trick that I was using on my own healing journey. I observed myself very closely. I saw that I was very often reactive and having some kind of emotional responses, even though maybe the situation would have justified some kind of emotional response. But I saw that there was always a part that I was carrying. There was always something within which was bringing an awareness to a certain aspect, which needed attention, which needed healing. And so to me, the shadow self is really like this being enmeshed in the old unresolved wounds. Every wound you give attention to, and you sort of like take care of that wound, gets a chance to heal and won't have the same emotional response afterwards. And in times I was wondering, even when I was just focusing on what was it doing inside me, what was my part in it, was I being masochistic in a certain sense, wondering whether I was just trying to prevent everyone else from experiencing a response. And yeah, I think it's actually not. It's just really taking the full responsibility of your own inner reactions. It's just something that's helping you to overcome certain challenges. And if you in the end, if you heal these kind of wounds, it doesn't mean that you are enduring the behavior that someone is putting you through or is showing towards you, but it means the kind of behavior that you are then experiencing, you are not acting out of a wound. You are now having different options. You see that there are different ways in how you can respond. And the very best response is always to stay centered inside your own self, be very present within your own self, and decide whether the behavior you're experiencing is something you are willing to put up with or not. And if it's nothing you want to put up with, you can remove yourself or you can communicate that. But there's no need for emotional outbursts. And the good thing is that we really have these kind of signifiers, we have these kind of signals from our body, and we're just not used to reading them. We're just not used to listening to them. But these kind of messages that we actually receive from our own bodies, they're absolutely precious, and they're absolutely your chance to move yourself out of this kind of equation where you don't feel comfortable in because you are only being triggered by emotions. I hope this was helpful. I hope you could see any value within my message, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next time. Take good care and goodbye for now.